Yeah,
in
count Austin
52,
down.
78, blue, 6. Austin, you're on in 3, 5. Damn. Wait. 1.
Do the L. Do the L's.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Just do them. Just
Gotta measure it out. Austin in 3, 2. Go. Why can't I?
Stop hitting yourself.
I had like a piece of all of us, dude.
I really need one with just like little round glasses. Like that's all I need. Just make that happen. Yes. No. Wait. That's a perfect idea. If you can do that and we can film it, then every time I get in a fight with my girlfriend, and she's like, "No, you did it." I'm like, "No, I didn't."
We're at
All right, Delal, you can shut up. Welcome to the WatchTower podcast, the watching tower of the towering podcast. This is the WatchTower podcast. For today, we will be.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, face? Welcome to the WatchTower podcast, the podcast.
Welcome back to the WatchTower podcast, the film review podcast on the new Towercast network.
Yes,
Man, it's been fun, guys. I gotta tell you, it's been fun so far talking about these films, pretending like we're at the cinema and we're just talking outside the theater about the movie we just saw. We got a pretty cool episode today, Austin's Choice. But before we introduce the episode of the film we're talking about today, I gotta introduce my fellow gents here. We have Mr. Christian Yokomoto Medina.
Yo, man.
Well, hello, fellas and fellas.
New haircut, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook. You look at the hair. Look at the hair.
Wow.
A young Bruno Mars, if you will. We got Mr. Michael.
That's me. Hey,
with the beanie.
I know, with the beanie. With season 1 beanie.
Season 1 beanie.
Like
That's the whole theme.
Cool style.
We got Mr. John Eric Castro.
Welcome to the party. Oh, it's the wrong film. Damn it.
We got, but he's wearing green, so we'll forgive it, because as of this recording, it's St. Patty's Day today.
Patty's Day.
And we have Mr. Austin T. Young, making sure we're sounding great here.
Why'd you throw a T in there?
Austin Young.
Oh, I don't know.
It's okay. Let's not cry over spilled guineas, right?
Let's not cry over spilled guineas. You didn't say your fellow, your yo. Austin is that.
Yo.
Thank you guys for joining us today. We're going to be talking about a film called Locke.
Chosen by.
I'm glad you just said film. They didn't put anything in there in front of it.
Yeah, just a film. No, we're talking about the psychological drama written and directed by Stephen Knight, 2013's Locke. It was chosen by Austin. He's a big fan of Tom Hardy. And he's been telling me, at least for years, to watch this film. I'm glad I finally watched it.
This film? This one?
This film. He's been getting on me for years about watching this. I'm glad he did. Single location, very cool approach on the storytelling for this film. But it was my first time watching it. Anybody else, guys?
Yeah, first time as well. First
time all around.
I don't know what to think of it yet, dude.
Really? I remember the feeling. I remember feeling like this would be exactly your type of film, Castro.
For sure. From the outside, for sure, that's what I want. A car, right? Alone. It started off too subtle. The first 10, 15 minutes, I didn't know what was going on. I don't know if that's just me, but
I didn't think that. I felt like, well, we can get more into it, but I felt
we're like thrown into the action type of thing.
Yeah, my bad. It was just I don't know what to think.
No. The first impressions. That's our first impressions.
Yeah.
Set that up for us. Why did you feel like it was kind of too subtle in the beginning? Or maybe was it the format? Was it expecting Tom Hardy to start blowing up some shit because that's just who Tom Hardy is? Or
it kind of leads into the Lao's acting question later on, but it was so subtle that you were just kind of like, why isn't he giving more emotion? But then as the story unfolds, you understand why, or at least I understood why.
Yeah, we understood that's who he is, right? He's
in the situation that was happening. Mm-hmm. He could blow up for, he's got a new baby, working.
Yeah.
But he wasn't giving me the, oh, dude, I'm freaking out. He was kind of like,
especially that the first call is like a work call, right? Like it's just like a call, like to guy at the station. It's like, oh, did you get the report? And you're just like, really? This is how we're.
I get that. But then what starts solidifying that, not just the story unraveling, but the fact that we start to get these confirmations from everybody, like, oh, Locke, that's right, he's the best guy in London. or we start getting like his coworkers talking about like he's never missed a day of work or he's never been late. So we start getting like, oh, that's why he's keeping his cool. That's why he knows how to stay under pressure and shit like that. So I get that. I get that.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, the first 15 minutes, I was kind of like lost. Like, what's going on, dude? Like, you got a kid. I know.
You know what I think contributes to that, Castro, personally? I think what contributes to that is the fact that we're so used to watching films that a car ride is just literally a form of transition into the next scene.
Right.
And we expected him to stop somewhere and get off the fucking car, almost like that's the format we're used to. So maybe that contributed to that. I don't know, or maybe that's just me.
No, yeah. Sure, I went into it with it being just in a single car, but it was.
Oh, you knew about that side of things.
Well, kind of with the whole Tower Crown that it's in one location.
So that's a good point. No, yeah. I think Austin may have mentioned it in the past too, but
yeah, true.
But I didn't go into it with that mentality. I just went into it like it's this guy going through kind of a crazy situation in this amount of time. But that's an interesting first impression. That's an interesting first impression. What about you, Delo?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing I noticed, kind of like you said, within the first 15 minutes, I felt like that really kind of prepared you for what the rest of the film's going to feel like. Not what it is and not where the story's going, but just that feeling of being in the car, answering phone calls and people, just trying to like give answers real quick. And then you got to pick up another phone call. And as much as it was kind of odd because we said like, it's not in the stereotypical vein of like most films where there's like 15 different setups for one room and then they walk out and they transition to go to the next place. And I mean, look at like Tenet where 2 seconds later they're in a completely different country, just bouncing back and forth. It's just, you're right there. And I feel like it was really good in capturing a feeling everybody could connect with, having to like, I don't know, just be like, you're rushing from one place to the next place. You're answering calls. You're trying to like kind of like get everything in order, but you're also like out of control. As much as you're in control, you're out of control with what's happening around you. And I was really
relatable too. But
I was so impressed at like how I was able to accomplish that. Just watching it. I mean, I felt some of those tensions of like, I don't know, not I don't know, having a baby with another woman. Like, I don't know, that's for a later month, but later.
No, that's good. That's good. Yoko, what about you, man? Your first time watching it, what was your impression?
So when I was gonna watch this movie, I watched it late at night. It was one of those I was like, okay, you know what? I'll set some time right now, maybe like half of the movie. Then I'll watch the rest of the movie later on.
Yeah.
It hooked me. I was like, right in the first 10 minutes, I was like, I think I'm gonna end up watching this whole movie because it is like it's really good. It's the way it subtly introduces like who the character is, who he's talking to, what he's worried about, and what this ride actually signifies for him. Like the way it subtly introduces you all to that, I'm actually like I was nervous every time I heard a ring.
Oh wow, interesting. So you basically, I think you were an audience member that had the exact effect that maybe the director was going for.
Yeah,
I think that you definitely kind of fall into that line of things. I like that. That's interesting. I mean, it's refreshing to hear like that, dude, because you get your pretentious filmmakers, Exhibit A, who like always want to psychoanalyze this movie and why this choice was made and why that choice was made without actually just sitting and like, oh shit, it's ringing again, something's happening. And it's refreshing to hear that people are still reacting that way. So that's cool. I like that first impression. What's so funny, though? It's ringing. It's ringing. Help! He wakes up his wife and kid, and then the fucking phone is ringing. I need help. I need you to hug me. I need you to comfort me. No, I'll tell you what. I think the only thing that got me for this film is that the film was great. It was paced beautifully. I mean, the film's like an 85-minute film, and it was paced perfectly. I think the subject matters were fantastic. The only thing that I feel what happened with this film, personally, I think it kind of fell under the radar for me. I think it was marketed wrong. I think it was marketed like an action film, like an action psychological drama, action psychological thriller. I partially, if I'm being honest, I just saw the poster before I went into this film, and I thought this film was going to turn into your typical explosion in London highways type of shit. So I was waiting for that.
I mean, it looks
I'm
like
glad it didn't.
looks like the poster for Drive if he had just like stepped back into the car. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so I was expecting that. I was halfway expecting that. So I just think that's the only thing that's kind of wrong with it in terms of the marketing. I think just marketing wise, and it's partially casting somebody like Tom Hardy as your lead. Tom Hardy's one of those action guys, right? He's part of the A-list actors for action films to a certain degree. I mean, The Dark Knight kind of gave him that. At least in America, yeah, the Dark Knight kind of gave him that reputation a little bit. And then he did Dunkirk and all these shit. So I feel like he has that reputation a little bit. I'm talking about present day. Obviously, before 2013, he was definitely known more in the London scene and had more dramatic roles and stuff. But now, as Americans know him, like Yoko said. But I think it was good, man. I think it was really gripping. I wasn't expecting it to have this much heart. This was A24 in their early stuff, and their early kind of kicking off being A24.
Yeah.
This was the era of A24 that I really loved, because now it's turning into kind of like a off-brand Blumhouse A24. But I feel like back then it focused on these indie, like gritty individual stories that I really like. So I like that era of A24 personally.
Yeah.
My wife likes to say, like, after showing her Midsummer, she anytime she sees the A24 logo, she's like, nope, I'm not fucking watching it. I'm leaving. Because that's what A24 has done to her with things like, Midsommar.
With Hereditary.
I will say, I actually got the reaction where once I saw, like, right at the beginning, I saw the A24 forming. I was like, oh, this is gonna be good.
yeah. It's not bad. You're right. But that genre arm to me is like, it's gonna be dark and like give me the creepies, you know. But it wasn't.
It was dark, though.
It was dark, but it had a lot of heart, man. It had a lot of heart.
Yeah.
And I think that's what balances the subject matters, right? Like it had a ton of heart. And I haven't seen personally. I'm not big on Tom Hardy per se, but I hadn't seen a character of his had this much heart, man. This is definitely something that got me from him.
I guess my perspective was coming from an actor just wanting to see more emotion, but I understand that the story led that to that. But it was
but that's a good point of discussion, Castro. Are subtleties important? Are subtleties, you know?
That's why I don't know what to feel about this one. Was it like, could he given more and still, or would it have been less?
I think for the realism that it was trying to go for the realism of the tension of a phone call where you have to talk about this kind of subject matter, the tension of a phone call that relates to work that, you know, big people in big places are going to get very mad and you're going to get fired. Like the amount of tension that kind of comes into that, how it's trying to stay composed and it's trying to like maintain yourself, that if he had been too over the top, it would have destroyed it. I think it would have.
No, but I get that, Gus. I get that. I get what you're saying in terms of.
Is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying in terms. You were hoping for more emotion, but if I'm being honest, on the storytelling perspective,
that's what
I feel. On the storytelling perspective, to me, it solidified the character, because to me, it's almost like kind of like almost like Daniel Day-Lewis in Phantom Menace or something, or Phantom Thread. Sorry, in Phantom Thread, not Phantom Menace. Gosh, imagine Daniel Day-Lewis in Phantom Menace. No, in Phantom Thread, he's like, or like, you know, like Anthony Hopkins in oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Anthony Hopkins film. In the biggest Anthony Hopkins movie he has.
I'm sorry. I'm imagining
Lambs.
Lincoln with the lightsaber right now. I'm sorry.
No, but I imagine these guys who are like methodic, dude. Like they're almost like robots. Like this character is so secure in his own personality that whatever happens around him, he knows what he's like. He knows how to compose himself. He knows how to keep. Especially him being a boss, right? Him being like the supervisor of these big projects. He has to keep his shit together.
And Carlos,
that's what I landed on for sure. It was just it took a while for me to understand that.
I had a theory during the filming of it. I was going to say,
break that down, because I think that, especially moving forward and the conversations had about the character and like his development, makes so much more sense to the film and kind of, I think, highlights that heart that you're talking about.
Austin, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing, Austin?
I'm just laughing at how you guys are so fixated. Like, why is he so like concerned about the concrete? Like, it's just concrete. Why is he so concerned? And then you just hit us with that, and the Lao's reaction was just, no, stop it. Fuck you, stop it.
For those who know the story, real quick, just to kind of premise it.
Pitch it, tell the story.
We're watching this, you know, and we had like little like joint watch party, and we all kind of like come in with our perspectives. So like Austin on editing, me on like looking at the camera work, and then Carlos looking at like the writing and you know, like kind of I guess also performance element of that. And you know, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you know, like, wow, this is really interesting. I don't understand like why there's certain choices being made, but it's unique. And I was thinking like it must have been hard to film it this way and all that. And then Austin's like, yeah, and I mean they pasted really well the editing and all that. And then Carlos hits us with like, I think I know what's going on. And after he told us, I was so mad that this just jerk broke down what to me was like, I don't know, like it's a really good theory and it's probably exactly what they're going for. But the fact that I didn't know and nobody else knew in the room, and then you were just coming in like, I'll give you the right answer, you small children.
No.
Like,
I mean, I don't come in like that, but this is exactly the type of stuff my wife.
Sit down, kiddo. Let me tell you what a movie.
No, but look, okay. First of all, we should preface this by saying Locke is about this guy who works for this, you know, massive development construction company and is in charge of the. Well, no. He's in charge of all of it. Like he's in charge of like the company kind of oversees everything, not just the cement building. But anyways, they're about to pour cement for the biggest project they've had in Europe, in terms of building and cement pouring and stuff like that. So he's under a lot of pressure.
Right.
And in the meantime, we discover that he's taking an 1.5-hour drive to London because he had an affair. That affair turned into a one-night stand, literally. And yeah, he's a player. No, he was in an office party. It kind of just happened. And turns out she's having a baby. She got pregnant. She's having a baby. Wow. He's also getting calls from home, from his 2 boys, from his wife. And these are all the things he's dealing with. Yeah. The construction of his massive, the biggest project of his career. I think safely we can say that. While also getting calls from the woman at the hospital saying, I don't have family. Are you almost here?
Weird.
Yeah, she was a little off, right? Like a little like offset.
Which would get me upset with his character. Like, why aren't you like I know she's having a baby and you got to keep it cool. But
then there's also this kind of like, well, I'll let you continue, Carlos, because there's a lot.
No, but that issue. No, I want to talk about that too, Castro, because you have a lot of you wonder why, right? But anyways, he talks about that, and then we have a young Tom Holland calling in, and he plays one of the kids over the phone. He's through fucking Spider-Man, right? So he's calling. Yeah, the voice is the same, by the way. The voice is the same as today.
I noticed that.
Right, calling him about a soccer game that they were supposed to watch together, and so, anyways, all of this is happening literally in the same car while he's driving to the London hospital. So, anyways, that's the story. Again, this character is very methodic and very, very on point about what he wants, and he knows the decisions he's making. He's not flipping. He knows what he did wrong. He knows what he needs to do to do right. He knows what he wants to do. And I kept thinking, he's obsessing about how perfect the concrete pour is going to be. And I thought, well, okay, why? You know, everybody's like, well, what's so important? That feels like they're stretching something. It feels like they're just like plugging away at something. And I said, no. What if that's the whole thing? He doesn't have any sustainability in his life anywhere. Everything is kind of crumpling, and he's the foundation of his life, right? So if the concrete isn't secure, nothing else can be secure, right? So
see, look at that. You know,
I hate you, Carlos. That's
so stupid. The fact that he knows the answer. Oh my god!
I had another view of it, but
what is it? What is it?
You got me. It's like, is that? as I was thinking, because the whole thing, the reason why he wants to be there for the unborn child, for the birth, is that it's because his father wasn't there at his birth and came back until like 20 years later.
So,
for me, the whole at the very beginning of the project is the cement pouring, and it's essential. Especially like for people at his job, it's essential for him to be there at the cement pouring. So the thing is, he is kind of like going to this baby because I mean, at least thematically.
No, I like that. I get that.
He has to be there. Always, he has to be there at the first stage.
I get sure that it grows up. They blend in. They blend in. The only I guess caveat with that is that I agree with Alao. They're definitely symmetric with each other, but. Or symbiotic or whatever, but I feel like the only not flaw, but the only kink in your theory is that He doesn't care about this particular pour. The biggest pour because there's something more important, right? So he has to figuratively. He's not at this first one, right? He's not at this last one before he gets fired. But I get that.
I get it too.
Once I heard yours, I was like, oh yeah, that's even better.
Yeah, no,
even better
that whole idea of being like the literal and metaphorical rock of like, you know, his family and the company that, you know, is like everything can get piled on him and he's steady, he's secure, and he needs to be, because if he's not, then everything comes falling apart. And you even see that kind of theory solidified when the person that he's kind of putting in charge to take care of things. I forgot what the person's name was. Yeah, the drunk guy. But he calls him and he's like,
how many ciders have you had?
2. But he calls him and says, like, I found out one of the truck is coming with like, I think it's like, I forgot the letter was, but like
C5.
Yeah.
C5. He's like, one's coming with C5, but the rest are C6. Is that okay? And then he starts going in like, this cannot happen. Like, this is going to lay the foundation of the biggest building in Europe. And the guy's like, okay, I'm sorry, I'll fix it. Like, no. This is going to hold hundreds and hundreds of tons. If one little crack happens,
that's the only peak I saw.
Tumbling down.
Foundation's cracked.
Yeah, and he says, so you cannot, you know, mess that up. You call them back, and it's written everywhere. Yeah, and it just shows how essential and important being a solid foundation is, because if there's any crack, everything comes tumbling down.
I have to tell you, man. I didn't think I was gonna connect as deeply as I did to this film. More on a personal note, and I'm willing to get deep, guys. I'm willing to get deep, because I kind of went through. Anytime he talked to his absentee dad, right? Anytime he was talking to the back seat, he felt that.
I love that visual metaphor as well.
Yeah. Like, he felt that judging almost, right? Like, now he's in the front seat. Now he gets to decide what controls his life, right? And I look again. I kind of come from a tough. No, I don't want to say tough, but there's obviously way tougher backgrounds than I. But I'm a product of divorce, so I've had these conversations with my parents, man. Like, I've had these conversations of like, I didn't get to see my dad for so much of my life, and how maybe I resented him for a certain amount of time, and then eventually that passed, and then it became a thing where like, well, I'm a man now, dude. You can't tell me what to do anymore, and that type of, I've had those conversations. So, and again, I love my dad, and he's probably gonna watch this episode and know what's up. But I've had these conversations with him, and how important it is for a father figure to be at the foot of your life. Otherwise, like, you know, the foundation is cracked, and it's gonna be tougher to build stuff on it, right? So I connected with that on a deeper level than you might understand. Castro, I won't get into your stuff, but I know you and I talk about that a lot, right? On deeper character moments and how that stuff affects us, right? Because you kind of went through similar things.
You're saying that I'm barely processing that because I didn't see it like that. That's
well, I'm saying like we've been through that.
But you know, seeing that from this film.
But anyways, I connected it with on those levels, and that's why it feels like maybe I caught those things a little early on, because I always tell myself, man, like I always tell, like it's conversations I had with my wife and conversations, you know, when you've been in the relationship as long as I have, you have these conversations. Yeah. And I've always been like, I don't want to be like, I love my dad to death, but I don't want to be like him. You know, I want to be myself. I want to be my own man. Same with my mom, right? I love my mom to death, but I want to be my own thing. And it's those type of conversations, right? So I feel like that's what Tom Hardy's character, that's what Locke was going through. Like, his whole life goal was like, my dad was not there for me. Yeah, I'm not gonna be like him. I'm gonna be stronger. I'm gonna be a strong foundation for my kids and for my wife.
It does connect in
and the moment that breaks for him, the moment he gets the call where like, I don't want you back at the house anymore. I want a divorce. Go with your fucking, you know, your new chick.
That ending makes more sense.
That breaks him, right? Like,
and the teardrop, that teardrop streaking down, that crack, you know, that's just on him. That now, from him being composed and him handling everything, he's cracked, and it's just
wow.
You can see,
because I didn't understand the ending, but that makes more sense because it felt so.
It feels like a new thing, but at the same time, he's really well aware that this isn't a woman he's in love with. This isn't a woman he wants a relationship with, the new one. But he has to be there for the kid. He has to be there for the kid, no matter what, even if he's not involved, right? So, and a lot of questions arise, right? The same questions that the wife asks of like, that's why I get to your point, Gus, like the same questions of like, well, how do you know it's yours? She might be screwing around. She could be, you know, how the fuck, those are the same questions we all had, right? Like,
yeah.
That's true. He might just be on his way to get a DNA test and then pop back. Who knows?
You just gotta trust Locke.
mystery is the beauty of this for sure.
But he was very assertive. If there's anything I respect the most about Locke's character is he's assertive. He knows what he wants. He knows in his head at least what the right thing to do is. We're men, guys. We're dudes, and we've had girlfriends, and how many times have we been like, no, nothing happened, or whatever. But he was straight up like, no, you know what? I cheated. It was one time. It didn't mean anything. I mean,
and he stuck with that, like you're saying, he was firm. Like the wife is like, I want this forever, and changes.
No, you know what? I kind of liked about it. There's many things to connect with about this film, and I just there was a realism behind it that just felt more attached than anything else. But what I enjoyed is even though he's driving, and you feel like when you're behind the wheel, you're the one who's in control, and it's just him. It's not
that's a good point.
Everybody. He's in control. But I feel like on a phone call, I've had phone calls that feel like the most out of control things that I have no power over. Like
it's a two-way street. They can hang up on you, and that's the end of your control. Like
and I know that there's been like times where, like, let's say like with my partner, like with Ash, like if I know we're gonna have like a really heavy conversation, if it's gonna lead into a fight, if something's gonna happen, I tell her I don't want to do it on the phone, because if I do it on the phone, it just feels like I can't.
No, I'm the same way.
I can't talk to you. Yeah, because if you're doing it there, somebody gets mad and, like you said, it hangs up. You call them back. After that, you feel like I just can't do anything. I can't.
Yeah, you feel so powerless.
I can't make it better. I can't make it worse. I'm stuck. So it's like, no, I see where this is going, and I have to talk to you.
And maybe Locke is like that. Maybe he has to be in person to fix everything. Like, obviously he is, right? And especially the construction stuff. He has to be in person, but maybe this is why it's so difficult for him to have to handle everything.
Even though the only thing he can control right now is the car, and the car's steady. We don't need to know about how the car's driving. They show little inserts of him driving and all that.
At some point, he's going 90 on the freeway, and it doesn't matter.
No, the car is steady. It is stable. But then he has to deal with things that he can't control. Like, he has to talk to people, call him on the phone, tell him he's not going to be there. He has to deal with their reactions. There's been plenty of people that would call him and then hang up on him. Like the guy, like, I'm sorry, I'm at dinner. And then would hang up on him, and you could just see him like, I can't control this, and I'm going to try everything I can. And it's just, it's insane. It's insane the way it connects with you in that way, because I think everybody, more than just the guys, everybody's experienced that feeling helpless and out of control with whatever situation you're in. I mean, I
gotta ask, Austin, you've watched this significant amount of times.
6.
What was your thing about this film, dude? How did you come across it, and why was it so
I'm curious why this one got.
I think I came across it just one night browsing on Netflix like years ago. And Carlos knows this, I like types of films like Locke, where it's like just that indie feel and very like dialogue heavy. So I think just the story and everything that he had to go through as a character is what intrigued me towards it.
But I would you put this in like your top films, Austin, or like?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I didn't see this coming from you. It's crazy.
Or not necessarily. Like there's just something you really enjoyed and you felt.
I think it's a really good film, and this was the third time I'd seen it, but the first time I'd seen it in like a year or two.
Oh, okay. So like a fresh eyes watch.
Yeah, and it holds up really fantastic. So I think I probably would put it near the top.
I think it's funny that when we were watching it on our little watch party, typically if we have the time, we'll watch 2 to 3 films on our little watch party. So I've been wanting to screen silence for these guys for the longest time, especially the law with the cinematography stuff. Yeah. And I screened silence, and it was like this 3.5 hour or 3 hour thing of like fucking making you ask yourself about God and existential questions of stuff. And by the end of it, we're like, okay, we're gonna watch Locke, and then Austin's like, I don't even want to screen Locke for you guys anymore, man. After watching Silence, it's like, what the fuck?
Like, what's the point? Let's just do an episode on Silence.
Yeah, legit, he said that. But I was like, no, let's go into it, obviously. And I remember walking away. Locke. Yeah, walking away from Locke, like, oh man, since I've never seen it before, like, oh man, this is deeper than I expected it to be. I expected it to be like, this whatever kind of,
I was just genuinely impressed. I mean, you know, if you premise this film to anybody, it's the thing that every like teacher to an indie filmmaker will say, like, no, the movie you need to make is minimal characters, one location, like
that's what every film teacher will tell you. That's what
they'll all tell you that, and then every student's always like, "No, that's gonna be a sucky movie," and this one, that asshole, no, like this one really proves that it can be done well.
Let me just put it to you this way: we're challenged. We know we're gonna go make 48-hour films, and then I decide to write the script in like 10 locations with 20 characters or whatever, which is not the right way to do it. But with a 48-hour or like an indie first-time film, you need to do something like Locke. It's true. Let's talk Turkey. The film was made with a $2 million budget. $2 million budget.
Wait, did he just say let's talk Turkey?
Let's talk Turkey. Yeah, let's talk money, right?
Horrible fucking Turkey.
Yeah, $2 million budget. I read a post. Austin sent us like the subreddit thing where people were complaining. Is like, oh, I'm an indie filmmaker. You can make that with less than $2 million. How the hell did they do that with $2 million? And then somebody like corrected them to the point where like they were like, no, dude. Anyways, I want to talk about that because it's very cool to read about some of the stuff that went into making this film. Right, one of them is Tom Hardy's part, at least just Tom Hardy's part, was shot in 6 days. That's it. 6 days of production, right?
Yeah.
6 days of production over a closed freeway in London on a flatbed, right? Where the car was on a flatbed. And then the total production time, from what I was reading, was 8 days. It took 8 days to make this movie. That's it. 8 days to shoot this movie, I should say. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but on the technical standpoint, it was kind of sort of, at least the takes, they were filmed in single take format.
Yeah.
There was cuts, but the performances were all single take. His performances were all single take, which is very impressive, man, for something like this, for these long monologues that he.
I feel like that's the only way it works. Like, just put the camera and then one take, and since we learned that
that's how I like to work. But some directors don't work like that.
Yeah, but I think we learned that the hard way, though. Like when we did Ineffable with Damien, we tried to break it up, and it just didn't work for him.
Yeah, see,
that's true. Yeah, for schedule's sake, we tried, and I was against it because I don't like shooting like that. But for schedule's sake, we had to do it, and he couldn't do it either. I mean. The other, what's cool though too is that most of the time you'll have like a script supervisor feeding lines to the actor. In this case, the other actors were actually in a hotel room, like on the phone with him.
That's cool.
So that they had a genuine, like they were acting. Tom Hardy, Olivia Colman, Ruth Wilson. They were all there talking to Tom Hardy's character, to Locke. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was give it more authenticity, right?
I mean,
especially if you're gonna be carrying this whole movie, I mean, to do those long takes, it's better if you do have someone to react.
Isn't it impressive?
Get you there.
That like for it being like you said, like an 80-minute long film, it never felt stale. Like it was hard to kind of maybe like you said, Castro, like get into at first because you're trying to like understand the vibe of the film, but it was. For it being that one location, a chair, that's literally what he's in. He's just sitting in one spot. I mean, I think there was maybe
I mean, I don't know if they conceived this. It doesn't say in any of the stuff I've read, but I don't know. This could have been conceived as a short film, and it would have been a perfect 10-minute short film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the fact that they were able to pull it off on an 85-minute format, I agree. It didn't feel like, oh, dude, you're stretching this out. Stop talking about that. Or it felt like I want to know if he gets to the hospital. I want to know if this chick, if the baby's okay. I want to know if
the concrete's okay.
Right. If is his wife going to leave him or the kid, I was hooked, man. Yeah, I cared about it.
I will say I gave a fuck about the concrete. Like the first two conversations where
like you wanted to yell.
Okay, what does he do? Yeah. I actually got to the point where by the end I'm like, okay, I think I can actually do this dude's job because I think I know exactly what I need to prepare for. I need to know who to call.
Yokomoto starts pulling out a binder. All right, let me start getting it.
I was telling the guys that when we were watching the film all together, like I had gotten a call from Ash at the time, and like, I had gotten a call from Ash, and then it was like late at night.
Started getting intense,
and then like, no, you know what happened? She had called me, but we were watching this film about people getting phone calls and everything being tense, and basically she would just call in to say hi, how's it going, and then tell me about her day at work. And I had to call her back and like apologize because I mean she probably thought I was just screwing around with her, but it was like, it's all right, love. I'm going to be home. We're just going to have to figure this out
open the
one
window.
step at a time. You're going to have to step away from your manager. She's very angry right now. There's a baby on the way. We'll figure it out when I get home, but it has to be the C35. And then she, you know, she was like, what's going on? And I was like, I need to go now. The film's not over. The baby's on the way. There's too much going on right now for me to deal with this.
I'm sure that if any of us were receiving a phone call while watching this film, we'd be the same way. We'd be like,
no, and then for the first 2 minutes of like the phone call, she was like, "Oh man, I got this lady. She was complaining about this, complaining about that." So she had the intensity to make me think, "Oh no, we're gonna deal with this. We're gonna find the lady. We're gonna get her. We're gonna get her pregnant.
We're gonna get her pregnant." My God,
we'll figure it out.
That's cool.
You know what's cool? I was reading that in the actual filming of it, right? I don't know if you guys noticed it periodically, pretty much throughout the entire film. I thought it was so hilarious because it kind of goes with that interrupting the intensity, right? It periodically will hear the voice in the call. You have a call waiting voice, right? And then you see fucking Tom Hardy, like, especially towards the end, like reacting like, what the fuck? Like, but we think that's his character being frustrated. What actually happened was the BMW that they were using had a low fuel warning. And it was a chime, and it would fucking interrupt his performance, and that's why he would get pissed. So the director decided to just, hey, let's leave it in there. We'll just replace it with the call waiting sound.
I love when that happens in a movie.
That's pretty cool.
But pure magic, right?
It's pure magic so well because then you felt like, oh shoot, like he's dealing with this one call that's super intense.
At one point, he hits like the dash and like, son of a bitch, like it was Tom Hardy getting pissed.
Way more natural. Because you would be sometimes getting a call. Sometimes you do get these like heavy phone calls, and out of nowhere you're like beep beep beep.
Talk about making things work for the story, right? Another thing that was worked into the film was, you guys noticed Tom Hardy or Locke rather had a cold, right? He was sniffling, he was coughing, what happened? And my psychoanalytic brain of filmmaking thought, oh shit, the character has AIDS. He had a one-night stand. He has AIDS. That's what I thought. Legit. That's what I was waiting for, something like that. What happened was Tom Hardy had a cold. Legit.
No way.
He had a cold.
They just put it in there.
So they just worked it into the story. Why not? Another layer, right? An additional layer. This guy's already having a shitty day, losing his job, his wife, his life, and then now he has a fucking cold on top of it, right? Like another layer.
So I just interpreted it like, oh, this is the way that we visually see his stress level, because like especially towards the end, like
his body is reacting.
He's doing it a lot. So it's like, maybe this is the way we were seeing it.
Also, like, I thought something bad was gonna happen when he just like bust out like a bottle of NyQuil and then just starts. I think even Austin, you said you were like, that's an odd place to drink NyQuil. Like, one of you guys said something like that.
Yeah, I think it was.
I just thought it was gonna be like, okay, just chug NyQuil and crash, and then that would be it. That'd be Locke.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they worked a lot of that type of stuff into this film, I mean, look, talk about character cues and talk about little nudges, right? The license plate reads adios, right? It reads adios, like goodbye. So that's another little nudge of like,
towards the ending,
goodbye towards his life, or goodbye towards his thing, goodbye towards the journey, whatever, right? He kept him on his toes, man, and Stephen Knight, he actually got Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy agreed to do the film on such a low budget if Stephen Knight agreed to direct Tom Hardy's miniseries that he was working on at the time.
Really?
And that was kind of the agreement.
Nice.
I forget which miniseries it is, but yeah, no, it was great. Let's talk about some of the technical stuff, man. You, Delo, and Austin, you guys got into some of the cutting and how I think the cutting and the cinematography kept this thing fresh, because by definition, logistically, we didn't stay inside the car the entire time. We were outside on the freeway shots and shots of the tire, and some of the cutting in between that made that flow so nicely. Can you guys talk a little bit about that?
I saw a lot of shots that were repeated, but what happened is that they found a way to balance out, like, let's say 6 setups that all focused on like Tom Hardy from different locations, different camera angles, maybe even more with the whole him talking to the father that's not present. But they knew how to balance that in a way, I think maybe even with like the long cuts, that if you focus on, let's say, like camera 3 for a while, that camera 3 is just going to be the phone call with this, and then you make sure you don't use camera 3 until the last phone call with, like, let's say the son or something like that, balancing it out where then you're always feeling like you're getting a fresh perspective, and it's a new phone call, it's a new kind of like vision that comes out. It's really impressive to kind of see it done, and I mean done effectively in a way where you weren't getting bored. And then also multicam setups are always a pain for making sure that things look consistent, but the way it was colored and everything, it was very consistent, just to really make it feel like it's the same tension that he has, but it's not the same call, and it's not the same story, and it's not the same event with anybody else. And in fact, when even you would see that he tried to like meld the tensions of one thing to the other one when he's talking to the main contractor and saying like, did you know that like I'm gonna have a baby with some lady and my marriage just went down the drain? He's like, I don't care about that. Chicago's pissed. Like you could see how it was always separated. It was always individualistic.
Because those were the right things, right? Like it's almost like that, at least in the Mexican American, we all grew up kind of Mexican American parents, or Mexican parents. It's like that machismo thing almost to a certain degree. Like, huevo, we have to do the job right. Like we were hired to do something, we're going to do it correctly. If not, we're not going to do it at all. So like, it's almost like, I don't care if I'm fired, the job still has to be done. Like we still have to fucking maintain what we had to do. They had 3 cameras rolling from what I was reading, 3 cameras rolling at all times. So that's right. How to break that up. There was always only 3 cameras rolling the entire time.
Too many, and it becomes logistically complicated. I feel like it pushes things back, because then it's like, well, what angle offers the best take? But then too little and it feels flat, and it felt like they balanced that really well. And maybe it was even just like the mixture of like the editing. Like, I don't know what you would kind of say, Austin, as far as like, I noticed a lot of times that they would edit 2 layers over each other. So during conversations, there was a lot of times of having like one layer of traffic going by while having him on a phone call, and they just seem to do a lot of that, I guess, to kind of add flair to like
I think the editing has a lot going for it in this film to maintain the freshness. I don't know, Austin, did you detect anything that anything
it's something special? But like in this type of film, pacing's everything, and it's like it's you have to feel it to, all right, we've been on the shot for too long, move on to the next one, or at the same time working on something where it's long takes, you have to find his best performance in the way he looks. So as well as like cutting between him and like the traffic, you're also trying to fill in those little gaps where you may either need a break from what's going on right there, not to only give like the viewer a break from the stress that you may be feeling in that moment, or to give yourself a little break because it didn't work out.
Let me ask you this, Austin, because these are exactly the types of fights you and I get in when in the editing room for my films, right? Because I want to I don't care what to a certain degree, I don't care if they need a break. I want the audience to feel what he's feeling. I want them to sit there and like almost like marinate in what he's going through, right? But Austin is like, no, we need to get the right performance for the right amount of time, but maybe we throw an insert of the tire spinning at this point because that's the only break they need. Then we come back to the same shot. And that's it. That gives the audience 5 seconds of relief so that they can reset into the shot, into the stress a little bit. Is that what you think as an editor? Like those are just the moments?
As an editor, at the same time, you have to, when you're editing, you have to think about how would I perceive this as a viewer?
Right. See, that's where I have a little kick in that. I feel like you guys get too invested.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know what I mean? Like, you'll fall in love with one take or whatever, but you're so invested that you can't look at it like a normal audience. You know what I mean?
And that's why it's important to have test screenings and have people who aren't attached, or quite frankly, have a producer who's a producer and is only producing and wasn't on set and wasn't on, because the director's going to get attached. I'm going to get attached. Exactly. I'm going to want the fucking performance I want. Quite frankly, and Austin will argue with me about this, the editor will get attached to a cut that he just thinks cut well. So editors can get attached, directors can get attached, but a producer's going to come and be like, I'm not going to sell this shit this way. Like, it has to feel this way as an audience member. I feel like a producer is the closest thing to, apart from having test screenings with an actual audience, a producer is the closest thing to a general audience member, because they're going to perceive the film, how an audience receives it, how we can sell it, right? And I don't think another creative on set has that muscle to detach themselves from the film necessarily.
Man, it's such a tricky. I feel what you're saying for sure. It's tricky because at least at least someone in the production, like in the scenes or whatever,
right,
has a feel of what the director's kind of wanting.
Yeah, you have to trust
the
your
producer
director,
doesn't
right?
really, because he's outside. It's tricky,
and that's why I like the workflow. I like the workflow. A cinematographer has to present his vision, but ultimately he has to support his director's vision, right?
Exactly.
Anybody else that's in the crew, same thing. An editor, however, is going to rewrite the story, right? Everybody says editing is the third format of writing, right? So he's going to rewrite the story how he sees the story fits according to the script, right?
Yeah.
Literally, Austin, when he's editing or when he's doing a principal assembly cut and I'm not there, he'll throw up the script. And he has the script on one screen, he has his workflow on another screen, and he's constantly going back to the script to see how we can kind of match it a little bit, right? But I think that's the perfect workflow because an editor is probably, at least in my experience, Austin's going to be the one to keep me in check about, yeah, your vision is this, but your vision's not going to be presented successfully if we don't do this.
That's cool. Yeah.
Right? So the workflow is working that way. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No. I was just going to ask Austin, do you feel like, I mean, with this film, it feels like, wouldn't there be some fatigue? Like I've edited workshops that are like an hour long, and after a while, I don't know if there's like any more cuts that you can do to make it feel like it's well paced and things are flowing well. And I mean, with this, they really are trying to get as many inserts as possible, especially with like they have a small budget, but they're like, if we could film tires spinning, if we could film turns, construction workers putting down cones, whatever, like we'll get the inserts. But is there a fatigue that you feel at a time that like is impressive that they were able to pull off and get past, because you're just constantly watching a performance and then you're looking at B-roll and thinking, okay, let's start editing this to add pacing. Like at what point to me, I feel like there'd be a point where I just say screw it, and it's just nothing but hit Tom Hardy. Like,
right. But as an editor,
it's all about pacing with it and trying to break up the conversations properly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but hey, at the end of the day, you also had the benefit. I don't know, as a director, I see it as a benefit to have a camera on the screen of the car, so that even though we're just seeing the name of the person who's talking or the numbers, right? We at least get like another face. We get another face to cut to. So like we're not staying on Tom Hardy the entire time. Even if it's just the face of the screen of the car, I'm able to like divide those two conversations. I'm able to divide those two characters and have a face to the character. So I think that's a huge benefit in terms of pacing and in terms of breaking it up is having another shot to cut to besides Tom Hardy in the car. We kind of get like dive into it by having a face to it. What were you saying?
Something important. Something important that I feel like I have dabbled in editing and all that stuff, and a one-person setup can get pretty boring. But the thing is, as a viewer, in this occasion, when a movie is edited, especially like something like this, where at least the cool thing that the cinematography is that the camera was never really doing pans or whip pans throughout the movie. It's very important that the camera always stays steady.
Right.
That way, when you're editing and going through the motions on the certain calls, I, as a viewer, was able to kind of like forget the fact that it's edited. And that way, I'm always looking at his face and seeing his reactions to the call. No matter if it's here, if it's here. Okay. It's always steady enough where my mind just blends in all the cuts.
Yeah, maybe we're reading a little too deep into it, but that also.
No, I think it goes well with the fact that.
What I mean is like the steadiness of, again, going back to the foundational concrete thing, right? If the camera's shaky at any point, we feel that as an audience.
Yeah.
But if it's steady, then we're right in there with Locke. We're connecting with him on how steady he is in his character. So. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but that's how I see it. Like maybe that's why they chose that camera format.
Yeah, because I feel like if you were to try to film him, and what this film I think relies on story wise is capturing intensity and emotion from like those mundane kind of like having a conversation, but knowing that there's a really bad thing, you have to like let the person know, and they're not going to take the blow well. And it's you need that steadiness to kind of build up by having pans, by having tilts, by having these like subtle camera movements. It doesn't really add anything. It doesn't present anything new. And then I think it feels like it takes away from like his just performance and him focusing.
I'll be the first to say it has to stick to this format. I mean, look, the how do I put it? The Tarantino whip pan or the Scorsese one, whatever. They couldn't have directed this movie. Those formats wouldn't have worked for something like this. It had to be so specific to use these specific camera movements that not everybody could have done it this way and captured the intensity the way it deserved to be captured for this story. Yeah, that's pretty. Not a lot of people can say that, man. A lot, you could throw up a film and say, "Oh yeah, I can name 5 directors that could have probably directed this film better or could have done." But Stephen Knight was clearly the right choice. He knew how to capture this intensity.
So unique.
Yeah, absolutely. So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, with that kind of being said, I mean, Castro, you're gonna have to take us into the actor's perspective. I guess this also kind of bleeds into the last question. Yeah. But you're playing Tom Hardy. The film, it's given to you script wise and all that. It's 80 minutes of just your pretty face and just sitting there in a car. Is that intimidating?
For sure it's intimidating, but
what are the challenges that you kind of like see and you need to prepare for as an actor?
Oh man, we need another whole episode for that, dude. There's a lot of challenges.
Oh, to take us into that world. Like, yeah, what do you need to do to prepare for something like this? I think Castro, your closest performance to something like this is like there's still time.
Sure. That's what I was gonna
being by yourself and
in a small room. It was same thing with Locke.
Hey, look at the Yoko. There's still time poster.
Howdy.
No, but
contact Yoko, man. Yoko will he will sell you prints of his work, of his amazing work. So check out Yoko, In the Mind of Yoko, for stuff like that.
Yeah, contact him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Castro. What was your? Yeah, I need to get some, dude. I really need to get some.
No, I mean, I guess for the, what did you say, Yoko? The hard part, or whatever. What's the big word you use?
The challenges as an actor, right?
There you go.
Or like the preparation for something like this.
Well, no, is a big word.
It's a big challenge for me, for sure. No, I guess one of the first challenges is having those close-ups on you, especially in a car. Whereas when I was seeing this, I was expecting more, not knowing about the story and unraveling. That's the challenge of they're gonna capture everything. That's the obvious. But the audience, if I do this eyebrow a little too much, they're gonna catch that. And should it be for that scene? Those are the challenges for me. Like, it's close up, right? It's
everything. Do you think it's a lot more? Do you think it's a lot more self-directing? I mean, because in this case, the way that I'm imagining it be set up is you having 3 cameras set up. You're on a what is it called? A trailer.
Flatbed.
And flatbed that just basically carrying you around. I think all of this could probably been like, video monitored from maybe inside the trailer or so. So really it's just you, the cameras aren't moving in a distracting way. So is it more like
I feel like they made it easier for Tom Hardy because that's what you want as an actor, right?
He doesn't want to be worrying about any of that, right?
Exactly. Like let the cameras roll. Let me try to get into a flow. Oh shit, that rhymes. Cool. But that's what it helps with the challenges, I guess. And obviously, Tom Hardy's a big star, so I guess they helped him with that. Where I'm not gonna be in your face, the camera is, but I'm not gonna be in your face. You do your thing. Help him with the challenges, you know what I mean? But that's one of the big challenges, is trying to focus on those subtleties that you need for like each one. Since it's so close, those subtleties are so much for an actor. Yeah, trying to portray, right? Like, is he mad or is he sad? That eyebrow was kind of weird. That's what an actor goes through. That's what
I don't know. No, but that seems that's interesting because I mean, I think
that's one of the challenges.
You know what?
Yeah, I've always thought to myself, like, an actor. What I envy about actors is like, you have to almost overly express. Well, to us, right? Like, you have to know how high your eyebrow is going to go, or how your lip is quivering, or whatever, right? You have to know to the T. You have to be very familiar with your facial, muscles and know how to use them. I always thought to myself, like, I could never do that. I can never be that familiar with raising a lip or scrunching a nose or whatever so much that I know what I'm trying to attack here. I always envy that. So for an actor to come and say, when I'm watching the performance, that's what I'm paying attention to. Like, how come he raised his eyebrow in this moment instead of this moment? No, that's eye-opening, Castro. Like, that's eye-opening for somebody like me who is paying attention to how much intensity, how much emphasis he put on this word instead of that word.
Exactly.
I'm paying attention more to that.
You're also flirting with like, am I over exaggerating? Because that's the first thing of acting, like over exaggerated. But that's what you're kind of flirting with, like during the scene, like, dude, I don't want to go too much. That's what I was like kind of confused with this film. I was like, I understand the story. There was subtleties, no peaks, well, a couple of peaks, but those are the challenges that won't go.
We have to teach ourselves that language, though, right? We have to teach ourselves, like, at least as directors or as screenwriters, we keep saying, like, I've learned to limit myself in the sense that when I'm watching something, I have to keep saying, that's what I would have done as a director. But that's my style. That's my intuition as a storyteller. So I think actors probably have to tell themselves, like, well, I would have done something differently, but I understand why he did it for this performance, right?
Exactly. And then that's the beauty part of, like, if you get with your director, start, understanding the character, if it's a little bit too much or too little, do a couple of
How important do you think it has to be, dude? Because I know you, I've worked with you, I know what it is. But how important, because some guys, I've known of some, especially big Hollywood stars, who don't go to rehearsals, don't do shit, don't have talks with the director. They show up on set and they're treated like royalty, right? But they don't see the need. And there's some other, like, method actors who, when they yell cut, they're at the rap party at a diner and they're still in character. And so, you know what I mean? So yeah. How important is it for in your opinion, how important is it for an actor to be as involved as a director in terms of developing the character?
I think it's huge. I guess this example is what I heard with Joker, where Joaquin Phoenix didn't want to meet with Robert De Niro for some reason.
Yeah.
He as an actor, I was thinking maybe he's freaking out and he doesn't want to, like, go, have a table read with Robert, and then Robert's going to be like, this is the Joker. I feel like that was going through his head, but I think it's necessary. Just like Robert, I don't care. Get him here. It's necessary to have the table read.
Oh, okay.
Get with the directors. That's going to calm you down. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's a good example with him.
In that example, it's more like his character always idolized him and always viewed him from a screen, and that's how he needed to be. Like,
okay.
And if we get on a deeper mention,
that's the fun part.
The character that he's playing in Joker is modeled after Bob De Niro's character in King of Comedy. So maybe he didn't want to be stuck on that type of character or something. I don't know. That's a conversation for when we do the Joker.
I love that you brought up is that every department, acting and directing and cinematography and all that, it has its own challenges, and we're all so focused on making sure that our part's done well. And I think Tom Hardy really did a good job of making sure, like, his part was done well, just as everybody else, like, really, they kind of, like, knew what they were doing. They knew it enough where it came together, and it was, because...
Hey, man, Tom Cruise just yelled at 2 grips on set of MI8 or whatever the fuck the new one is, about not wearing their masks or whatever, right? But some actors are that... I mean, at this point, Tom Cruise is a producer on Mission Impossible, but... At some point, like, the actors do get, like, I think it was Anya Taylor-Joy, the one from Queen's Gambit or whatever. She says that before COVID, she would walk around and say hi and hug every person on set and try to have conversations with them. Have conversations with them and try to see what their process is. And that goes a long way, right? But some actors are like, call me when it's 5 till up to my trailer, So I just wondered how important that process is for you, Castro. Because
as an actor, for sure, like, barely starting off in his career, like, I have to get with the directors. Like, with you, I've worked the most. I have to be in the same page and sing. Yeah. Because now I'm going to be overthinking my gestures and stuff like that. So that has to be.
It's a tough gamble, dude. It's a tough gamble. I love working with you because
at the end of the day, it's still kind of improv, right? But you still have to have a
no. But it's a tough gamble because I know I can confidently, like, go into a film and a scene and be like, oh, you know what, Castro knows we're on the same page. We agreed on what this role has to be. And I've had experiences where the actor's like, nah, man, I can't meet. I'll be on set. And it's a gamble because sometimes it works and sometimes their process is
that good and shit, and then
and other times it's like, oh man, this is why I needed to talk to you, dude, and this is why we needed to shape this character together. And
that's my worst nightmare for sure.
It's frustrating. So that's interesting.
Next,
that is why I just stay behind it. I just behind the camera. Hey, no interaction with nobody.
I find that fun. That's the fun, like flirting with.
Yoko's like, I make the posters, bro. I don't have to consult with you.
I just have to look at a nice image of you from your best performance, and that's it.
Yeah.
Castro, the one challenge I still to this day do not understand in acting and how you overcome it. The tear, like, is that a real? Is that fake? What do you do? How do you do it?
Sure.
Like,
you're talking Tom Hardy's tear.
Yeah, because
the sequel tier we see
that completed the film. That you know that made the film when his kid calls and says, maybe you know what it did? It showed how much of a fantasy, but how much he really wanted to just believe that he could just go home and watch the game. And then his kid even says like, "We'll just pretend like we didn't see it, and we'll cheer at the right time."
You remember my theory about that, Delo?
What is it?
You remember my theory about that was like
you didn't tell us.
No, I did. No, I think I thought I did, or maybe I said I was
No.
listening to the
You
podcast.
can bring it up now.
My theory was the tear was the crack in the cement.
Yeah,
that's what I brought up earlier. Yeah, the crack. Yeah,
the crack in the cement where we finally see him break. You know, and shit.
Damn it! I needed you guys to watch this, man. That makes everything starting to click now. Wow,
that's a beautiful moment. It's a beautiful moment. But hey, you know what, guys?
Oh well,
I think it's getting to be about that time. Oh,
hey, what time is it, man? That last.
I wanted to hear how do you cry?
He's got one more question.
Like, how do you cry? Like, you gotta answer that.
You know, I'm still in the middle of that, man. I've dabbled with how to cry. I've cried.
Yeah, we've had our share of.
I mean, I guess.
Talk about whatever you want to talk about.
You just gotta pinch yourself really hard. No, I mean, there's certain methods. I've tried a little bit of liquid courage. You know what I'm saying? Blend it in with, past experiences. There's a method called Slavsky, something like that.
The Slavsky method.
Which I'm really about, man. It's just like going into your past experiences and then trying to get that emotion in camera. And what I love about Carlos and the whole production team was that they let me go with a certain method, which was, drinking a little bit, trying to get into the flow, because it's nerve-wracking, right? You're going to cry. Yeah. You don't want to have that fake cry where it's like, I pushed it out. I want to cry like I cry. You know what I mean?
I feel like also the isolation. I've had a couple actors, you included, or another one was an actress who needed isolation.
You need to get in the flow. Like,
yeah,
you're an actor experience. Like, shit.
But I think that helped Tom Hardy because he was by himself in that car. Yes, cameras were all around him, and he had a whole rigging system. But he was by himself in that car.
That's why they make the challenges easier for him. Which is,
I remember when we shot Castro scene and There's Still Time. He requested, "Hey man, I don't want anybody here. I just want the director." So it was just me. I operated the camera in that moment, and it was just me and Castro.
And like you're saying, it's the hard part of being an actor. So you gotta be that asshole. Like, yo, I need time, dude.
I mean, do you read the script and is it like a previous day long process? Like, that on this day you're going to shoot the cry scene, so you need to just start.
I remember it was probably like a Friday or something. Since Wednesday, dude, I was trying to get into it. Just really thinking about past experiences, how I could relate with this character of being abandoned or losing.
And something. I'm glad that Castro is willing to take that extra mile, dude, because I've worked with people, again, they'll remain nameless, who tell me, like, I asked them in hey, you read this script, you read the script, you feel this character. I can't sign you on unless you can guarantee me that you can cry on the day of. And they want the part right. So they're like, oh yeah, I can cry. Don't worry about it. I got it.
Yeah, obviously.
And then the day of production comes and I couldn't get a single tear out of them. It sucked, dude. It sucked. But Castro was willing to go the extra mile and say, hey, I don't care if we're here all night, bro. You'll get the tear. You will get the tear. I mean, I've never wanted to use like the eye drop method. I never wanted to use practical stuff. So Castro was like, no, dude, you're going to get the tear. Just watch,
Yeah. It's just,
I'd rather do that. I'd rather spend 12 extra hours on set, and we have, not to that extent, but be compared to the actress or actor that told me, I just can't today. I'm sorry. I can't today. And then that just slows down her,
And talking about that, then answering your question, Delo, the pressure is it's massive. It kind of helps. It kind of
helps
because you're like, everybody's depending on this. You said to, like, the director was saying, you told him that you could cry. Now you got to produce. Like, if not, that's gonna stay with you. So it's all those. It helps. You know what I mean? Like
that one.
I like that Castro, and we'll talk about this more on the Tower Cast season 3, right? But I like that Castro. No. I like that Castro, like, as an actor. he doesn't see me as like the director that I've worked with Carlos, we got a relationship, we're good, it's all good. He sees every job individually. So if he messes one job up in his brain as an actor, that's going to determine how I get my next job as an actor. That's going to determine if this director, or this cast, or this crew wants to work with me again. So that's the actor's mentality, man. Like, you have to make these really good impressions, and you have to tell the story you committed to.
And you got to produce, man. Imagine telling Austin, "Yo, I can't do it, man," or Carlos, or anybody. It's just the pressure helps.
The pressure helps,
and you learn to flirt with that. I guess I know
that's
I'm saying that, but it's a
that's fair.
I hope I answered your question.
No, it did. It's a whole area that I haven't dabbled into, of course, like acting and all that. Yeah. But I've wanted to understand more, you know. So that
I have director friends that purposely take acting classes.
Yeah.
No, I have director friends that purposely take acting classes so that they can understand it.
That's cool.
I wish I did. You know, I didn't.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, you know.
You understand the actor better.
I like, you know, like even the podcast where we can all kind of hear everybody's opinion, because there's a level of appreciation that if you become arrogant to, it does destroy the filmmaking process, and it does destroy like, you know, the movie watching process. You know, like if I think that the most important person is the one holding the camera and neglecting everybody else, the film's going to come out bad, you know, because
I think the audience feels like that too. Yeah. I think if the audience was watching Tom Cruise in this role, they wouldn't buy it. I think Tom Hardy is respectable enough to like, he's a big action star, but I respect him. I take him seriously enough to believe him in this, you know? So I think the audience feels that way too. You know? I don't know. Maybe that's just my perspective.
So the person you would have played in this film, if you could choose anybody, was a baby crying at the end, right?
That, or probably, you know, the
pregnant lady. The drunk guy for sure.
Oh yeah, but man, I hope I could have written this down just so it could come out a little bit better, man. But I hope you answered your question.
No, for sure, man.
Top of the dome.
All right, it's about that time. It is getting about that time.
I know you guys been waiting for this.
Wow. Well, it's about that time. Well, welcome to the Tower Crown. Oh, dang it. I kind of got myself out of here. Okay, welcome to the Tower Crown.
Find it.
The main show where we just see what our opinions are about certain movies, and to see what the audience out there likes.
Ooh.
So for this movie specifically, we went with single location movies.
Oh, okay.
And on Facebook, we put up a poll with these movies.
Talk to me, Yoko. Which ones are they?
Okay, so the first one is going to be, I'll take it. Okay, there it is. Rear Window.
Yes.
I have a feeling that one might win. It's a classic.
Buried.
Bro, this one really made me believe in like one location, like what you could do in a coffin with a body.
Think about it though, like compared to this, right? There's movement in the car, there's movement in the freeway, there's texture in the background, and Buried, you got a box, bro. That's it, you got a box. Like, what can you do with a box? That's interesting. Yeah.
Oh my bad.
We also had no worries. No worries. We also had Die Hard and Clue, the movie.
Clue. It's been a while since.
So, y'all chose the winner, and the two movies that we'll be facing off today will be Die Hard against Clue.
Wow.
And trust me, this was a very tight.
Yeah.
There's a couple that could have won. That's crazy.
I was really wanting Rear Window to win, but quite frankly, Rear Window deserves its own episode on this podcast. It's such a terrific. It's
and actually, like the thing is that Rear Window, Clue, and Die Hard were so like there were so many fans that came out for all three movies. Okay. I was actually surprised. And
I'm curious. I'm curious as to. I understand that Die Hard takes place in this one massive white location, white like the texture and the architecture and the paint on the wall, by the way. But I never thought of it as a single location movie. I understand that it is logistically, you know, just technically, but I never thought of it as a. I've heard people's arguments
because it's a big building.
Yeah, I guess because it's such a big film, and you have Professor Snape doing his thing, and then you have I don't know, like. I just never thought of it that way. I've heard people argue that it's a Christmas film. I've heard people argue that it's one of the best action films.
I mean, it is.
But I've never heard people argue like it's the best one location movie. So I'm curious. As to how this is going to go. I'm moderating, fellas. Right. So who's doing it?
Moderating? Clue.
Team Clue.
Team Clue. All right. Castro, are you moderating or are you playing?
I'm assisting you with Die Hard, dude.
Okay, so
I guess we're doing Team Die Hard then. Okay, so who wants to go first?
I lost the coin toss, so
I guess it'll be Die Hard.
Yoko, open it up with Die Hard, please.
I think I opened it up last time too.
So since we were talking about big one location movies,
right?
Yes, the fact that there are a lot of rooms inside of the Nakatomi Plaza, it doesn't take the fact that we are in just one building. Exactly. And the cool thing about Die Hard is that that building is explored. You go from the basement level all the way to the roof.
Interesting.
And where you see the awesome death of Severus Snape.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this movie's just so fun. Confess, I just saw this movie recently. I've always
really?
Game on you, like. It was one.
I'm the same, dude. I didn't watch it till way later. I haven't. Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that always when it came out in the TV, like I would just see snippets of it.
Yeah,
I saw all the other ones beforehand.
That's how I watched.
But the thing is that I just saw it recently. Like, was it like a year, almost 2 years ago? And I still enjoy the hell out of it.
Interesting.
All the one-liners, man.
There's a reason why this is an action classic.
Yes, sir. And if I'm not mistaken, Die Hard has a couple of spin-offs, or not spin-offs, but trilogy? Help me, Yoko.
A couple of it has 4 sequels. And the thing is that it was such a staple that so many movies try to rip off the.
Oh, that's a good one, dude. Who's moderating? That's like 3 points right there, dude. Dude, this is like the basis. Okay, go for it.
Okay. You know, we're talking about one location films. You know, like you said, it's even hard to put Die Hard on that because it's just so big. It's it's a huge building. Sure, it's a one location. By definition, sure, why not? But no.
But it's not a whodunit. It's not a whodunit.
It's not a whodunit, and also, it wasn't trying to use the exact same location and soak up the most out of a scene. I mean, if you're talking about soaking up out of individual locations, I love the way that Clue was able to use the same location as a gag. And I mean, they did that at the very end of the film, but they also did it in the ways that they would find a body in one location and then return. And then the audience already knows and is familiar with that location. And then the gag's like, what happened to the body on the couch? You know, it just works so well. It works so well for what it was trying to do. It was saying you already know all the locations, and it's also basing itself off of the Clue game, of course. But you already know the locations, you already know the places, you already know the people. Like, what can we really do, and how can we soak up the most out of this? And it was able to soak up every gag. It was able to soak up every line. Like, oh wait, they're probably in the kitchen, or they're probably over here, or like, oh no, I swear that they were over here. It just. It worked so well for what it was trying to do. Also,
damn it. Okay,
I was able to use the last scene where the butler runs back and forth through every room describing exactly how they did it. It's the perfect way to just absorb everything out of a one location film. I mean, if you can't appreciate each and every spot on a one location film, then you can't be a good one location film. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just.
Okay. I got one question. Hello.
Shoot.
Give me a quote from that movie.
The butler did it.
Come on, a memorable one, dude. Clue doesn't have any memorable quotes, and Die Hard has a bunch of them, dude.
Are you kidding? Wait, give me a minute. Give me an hour and a half.
I have to give you a minute. It probably wasn't memorable.
No, it is memorable. I just wasn't thinking the lines right now. Okay, but I swear.
That's what I'm saying. With Die Hard, you could just think.
Okay.
Can I say something really quick?
Go for it.
I've never seen Clue, but hold on. No. I'm trying to defend you here, though. exactly would you say that Clue takes up less space than Die Hard does, like one location type area?
Yes.
So the competition here is one area films. Die Hard takes place in an entire office building.
Back to the definition. Dude.
Not exactly one area of films. Yeah, the one location is a Nakatomi Plaza.
One area.
What's the rebuttal? What's the rebuttal on
we're gonna explore downtown LA.
Yeah, man, get out of here.
What do you mean? I don't know where we're at. Downtown LA.
So could we just say that Batman was like a one location movie because it all took place in Gotham?
Can we say that every film's a one location movie if they're on Earth? Like,
yeah, exactly.
If they're in the universe, is Guardians of the Galaxy a one location film? Like, no.
Are you guys gonna sink that low? If you guys are gonna sink that low, it's cool.
If you guys don't have a rebuttal, I do have a final question.
So a skyscraper it has a couple more rooms than a mansion.
Yeah,
sorry, but it's still one location.
The base is still the same.
It's a poor man's Earth.
Okay, I have a question. That's
one negative point right there.
I've kind of already tallied, but I'm hoping this tips the scale. If you took away your single location from the film, could you still have the film?
No.
R.I.P. Die Hard.
Who wants to go first? I got it. Okay.
If your film took place in another single location, perhaps, would it still be the same film?
Oh yes,
that's not fair because Clue. That's basically what Clue is.
No.
Hey, you could spin this. You could use the art of spin for this to be a positive or a negative thing.
Okay, elaborate with that question.
Do you want to start first, Yoko, or do I? Like,
I got it.
Yeah, you would. Sick.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it can be in another location, but here's the thing: it can only work as one location. Because in Die Hard 2, they do the whole thing, but on a plane. So that means that it is possible. Now this could also be done on any like on one stadium. It's just because on a mall, it could be done that way as well. I mean, there's a reason why there's so many ripoffs of this movie, because like it has that one location. All what you need is some badass villains and a badass guy.
Professor Snape.
And the thing about this movie is that you have a badass guy against some badass villain.
That's true.
So, yes, it can be in another location, but the whole thing is that it doesn't work no matter what location it is, but in one location.
What if they swap locations?
And
as in,
I mean, you could technically,
It can't be in two locations. It has to be one.
Okay. What about you? What about?
Okay, here's what I'll say. The genre of a whodunit can be done absolutely anywhere, right? We're talking Snakes on a Plane. We're talking Murder on the Orient Express. We're talking what's that other one?
All these things
Knives Out.
Die Hard movie than
no. But listen.
Bad Times at the El Royale.
Listen, now here's why this can only be done at this location, and that's why it's so important. It's because this is what makes it a Clue story. If it wasn't at the mansion, if it wasn't with the rooms, you can't have the same gags. You can't have the same classic moments with the characters that we can't quote their lines right now.
Because the board game came before the film, right?
Yeah, the board game came before the film. So basically, Clue is a whodunit, but this is the whodunit of Clue. It has to be here because that's what makes this movie special. If you could have done Clue in a park. Or you could have done it in a different place, but then that would have taken away the dynamic.
That is the expansion pack.
Yeah. It's a completely different story, because then if you had done it on a train, it's a Murder on the Orient Express. If you had done it in somebody else's mansion, then it's Knives Out. But the Clue needed to be in this mansion with like the cook, the secret passageway, the special lounge, Mr. Body's lounge,
Okay. I think I have my results here, guys.
Yeah, see,
you're going to screw me over.
What? No, I didn't say anything.
Here's the thing. Die Hard made Bruce Willis a staple.
Lots of careers. No, not really.
But isn't the argument here about best film in one location?
Your mom's a staple.
Well, so as much as your mom is a staple, as much as
the charisma of Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
as
man,
much as
come on.
Yoko, as
classic.
much as your point is correct, I wouldn't give points for that because it's that's the argument that we're talking about, right? But all right, drum
I
roll.
mean,
I've
that's where
sent
the
Mr.
answer.
Yoko. I've gave Mr. Yoko my results.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned.
All right.
We'll have a verdict in 5 seconds.
Okay, so we got the tally here.
It's about that time.
Oh man, I couldn't see Yoko's reaction.
Let's see who's gonna win, who's gonna lose, which location is
I
gonna
will
be the
drive
best.
to your house.
It's pretty obvious.
It's gonna be the Nakatomi Plaza against the mansion.
I will drive to your house and beat you in front of your wife.
With my shoe.
All right, so the winner is
Welcome to the party, pal. Woo!
Listen.
Wow.
I have your address. I'm putting it on Google Maps right now.
The question at the end to me was pivotal because I could have gone either way. I was hoping that most people, I was hoping that both teams would argue the fact that the location is a character of its own. Like you have to have the location for the film. I was hoping both of teams would, but Yoko and Katsu took it a step above and like if this were filmed in another single location, it would still work. Yeah. It would still work. So that kind of worked to their favor because the story it's about what's the better film, one location film, right? So if they were to shoot this in another location and the story would still work, I can't disagree with that. However, I was hoping both of you were going to try to argue like, no, this location is key and we need it. They didn't need it, so that's kind of what tipped the scale. But both films had merit. Both arguments had merit. Yeah, I do think that though I prefer films like Clue, I love whodunits. I really do. I prefer them. Die Hard probably captivates its audience more in the single location, right? Just like Locke, it's about captivating the audience in the single location, right? I feel like Clue, people start getting bored in the second act, and that's just the natural reaction of people. But I feel like people would probably prefer the Die Hard single location.
You know how we were talking earlier about, like if you need to cry on camera, you just think of previous experiences. This is going to be the experience.
This is the previous experience. Hey, to be fair, you won last week, so.
Yeah, that's true. And also, it follows the pattern of the popular films. The ones that captivate the most audience are usually the winners because that's what films are supposed to do.
Hey, we talked about.
If it makes you feeling better, I've never won.
If you would participate, Austin.
Clue is so amazing, though. Honestly, Clue is so amazing. It's so damn funny.
I haven't seen it in a long.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Man, I was struggling, like holding it in.
It's pretty good. It's a funny one.
And they were talking about phrases because I was like, "There's so many of them. I got them," but I didn't want to give you. The points.
I was thinking more about the location. I was like, thinking about the.
I'm shouting.
I need to watch Clue again. I need to watch Clue again because I feel like when I watched Knives Out did what Clue was trying to do so much more successfully.
Do you think so?
Yeah. So I feel. I mean, it doesn't have the wittiness that Clue does. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite have the wittiness, which I know that's what you prefer the Lao specifically.
Yeah.
But it brought the whodunit back to life, like in an honorable way. Like I just thought it was so good.
I mean, for connecting with more people enjoying it, I think Knives Out did a really fantastic job of that.
And then Ana de Armas in it.
My girl come die.
But Susan Sarandon though is on Clue.
Susan Sarandon. I just saw her recently, and I was watching that Rick and Morty episode where she plays a therapist. You saw cracking up. The Pickle Rick episode.
And Christopher Lloyd and
like, I need to rewatch it. But obviously, I love whodunits, and Austin also mentioned like Bad Times at the El Royale and these other films that have been kind of reviving the genre. But to me, Knives Out, Rian Johnson bounced back from his Star Wars, shit, so successfully. With Knives Out. So, anyways, I gotta give it to Die Hard in this particular argument. So.
I think all the audience knew
it's
what
rigged.
was coming. I mean,
how much should I still send you? I'll send you double to change your decision.
Jeez. Well, we talked about Locke today, guys. I think it's a terrific film. If you have a chance to check it out, I think we saw it on Amazon Prime.
We all rented it from different locations.
Showtime. It's on Showtime.
Showtime.
So we have Showtime, but it's also out for rent. Check it out, man. It was a terrific film. It changed my perspective on this film and actually wanting to watch it more. And I may actually revisit this film. It's got a lot of those intense moments of past
Hidden
and
gem.
self-reflection. It's a hidden gem, absolutely.
I love all you guys' theories, man. That made me just.
Yeah, it's a fantastic picture. So Austin's kind of 3 for 3 on good suggestions so far. He's been knocking them out.
Not too shabby.
So yeah, it's a good choice, dude. Absolutely. You guys have anything else to say on Locke or on any of the films we talked about today?
It on paper, it might not sound like it's going to be that interesting or fascinating of a film, but if you allow yourself to watch it and just really feel it out, like it's phenomenal for sure. Yeah, it's impressive on a filmmaking front. It's impressive on a story front. Like it's really well done. Really well done.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it just takes 10 minutes for you to get into the story because immedially you're gonna get hooked. Yeah. It is great.
It takes you like
great
15
movie
minutes to
and really
understand.
fast.
Good point. Austin, anything else you have to say for Locke?
Just go watch it.
Yes.
Simple as always. All right, that about does it for this episode of the WatchTower podcast. We talked about Locke. Make sure to go check us out on Instagram, as Mr. Yokomoto's pointing out in the video portion of this podcast. Wow. Check us out, man. We're going to be doing a ton more crowd interaction in both podcasts, but we're going to be posting all the stuff there, so make sure to check it out. If you have any film suggestions, guys, again, send them to us. We're happy to look at them. We're happy to explore other films that we may not be familiar with. Next time, we're going to be doing At Eternity's Gate, which is Delao's choice. Yeah. So be on the lookout for the next Tower Crown. I don't quite know what it's going to be yet, but Mr. Yokomoto always comes out with good topics of discussion. So make sure to check out At Eternity's Gate, and make sure to check out In the Mind of Yoko and Tower Productions Facebook for the Tower Crown. Thank you for joining us today. Keep watching cinema. Keep collecting cinema in the form of Blu-rays and DVDs and VHSs. You know what I just discovered, by the way?
What was that?
DVDs are still the leading at-home entertainment in terms of physical media. Blu-rays hasn't surpassed DVDs, and UHD are at the way bottom of the list. I was reading that's why Criterion has decided not to even do UHD, because only like 2% of the population actually buy UHD.
How about HD DVD though?
HD DVD, yeah, HD DVDs worked. So I mean, DVDs are up there, right? Like, I mean, well, yeah, HD DVD went away like after its first week, but no, DVD is still the front runner. People are still. I've wondered for the longest time, why don't they get rid of DVDs already? Like, I hate DVDs. The sound quality on DVDs is terrible. But no, in this particular case, like, Blu-rays are second banana to it, so I was surprised. But keep collecting physical media. Yeah. I know I will, and thank you guys for tuning in. Keep watching cinema.
Take care, guys.
Love everybody out there.